Heretic, a horror story inspired by Arab folklore and grounded in Islamic morality. Estimated duration 12 to 14 minutes. Prologue. In a forgotten desert village near the Hijaz Mountains, where cell towers die and time seems to stall, stories still live in whisper. They speak of a man they no longer name, a man who defied the unseen. They called him the Heretic. Part 1. The Reese. Nadim al-Saba, a 34-year-old Syrian-born Reese, had dedicated his life to documenting the remnants of pre-Islamic rituals in abandoned shrines across the Arab world. He considered himself a man of science, skeptical, but obsessed with one question: what if the jinn folklore wasn't just myth, but misinterpreted history? That obsession led him to a ruined village mentioned only once in an Ottoman military log, Qaria Tia Hafia, the hidden village. Locals refused to guide him there. The name alone made shepherds spit over their shoulders and recite ayah. But Nadim went anyway. He reached the location in an old 4x4 with only a satellite GPS, camping gear, and his laptop filled with ancient references. The village was dust and bones, collapsed walls, a dried-up well, and one intact structure, an old masjid with a crescent so blackened it looked burnt. Inside he found a strange script scrawled across the mihrab, written in both Arabic and Syriac. It translated roughly to, "He who speaks to what's sealed must answer when it speaks back." That night Nadim recorded himself reading aloud from the wall, believing it to be an invocation lost to time. He laughed. Nothing happened, until he played it back. The recording had an extra voice, whispering behind his own, saying his name, slowly. Part 2. The shifting. From that night, Nadim's reality started to fray. He awoke to fresh footprints circling his tent, bare, inhuman prints with only 3 toes. His laptop glitched every time he tried to play Quranic recitations. Whenever he tried to say Bismillah, his throat would tighten, like invisible hands were pressing against his windpipe. In his dreams, he stood inside the masjid, but it wasn't ruined anymore. It was lit by crimson lanterns, filled with people who had no eyes. They bowed in unison, not toward the Qibla but toward the well. Nadim began to hear a name repeated over and over in his dreams, a name he couldn't find in any book or historical record. One morning he woke up to find the name Zaram carved into the palm of his left hand. That's when he realized this wasn't research anymore, it was invocation. Part 3. The return. Terrified, Nadim fled back to Jeddah, but he had brought something back with him, a presence. His electronics began to die. His neighbors heard him talking to someone when he was alone. Cats refused to enter his apartment. He sought out a local Ruqya expert, Sheikh Abdurraf, who listened patiently. When Nadim finished his story, the sheikh fell silent, then said, "Only one thing. You read aloud what was sealed. You answered the first call. The second will come soon. When it does, do not respond." Nadim began praying again. He fasted, he gave charity, he tried to drown the voice out with Quran, but Zaram was patient. Zaram waited. One night, while making tahajjud, Nadim heard it clear, direct, inside his ear. "Repeat the name." He didn't. The lights flickered. His mouth moved on its own. Part 4. The Heretic. From that moment, Nadim's body became a vessel. He could no longer pray. He'd forget surahs he memorized as a child. Mirrors distorted around him. He would see his own face smiling when he wasn't. Desperate, he contacted the sheikh again, but the number was disconnected. He tried traveling to Mecca, but he collapsed at the gates of the harem. His mouth foamed when he heard the adhan. Doctors said epilepsy. But Nadim knew. He documented everything in his journals, each entry written shakily, some backwards, some written in languages he never studied. The last page read, "Zaram says there were many heretics. I am only the newest, but Zaram wants more." Epilogue. Months later, a student of anthropology named Layla received a package no sender listed. Inside was a worn-out journal, a memory stick, and a note: "Do not read aloud." Layla clicked the file. A voice began to speak. It said her name. End.